Hey all, as you might be able to tell from the fancy powered by StreamYard in the upper right hand corner, we are streaming to you from a whole different platform today, because my streaming computer broke, but StreamYard came to the rescue, and I can run off of my normal PC here. So hey, it's exciting. Yeah. Anyway, welcome everybody to actual play. Nara and the Burning Wheel. I am Sean Ninner. I use he/him pronouns. I play Nara, and last time she was really confused about how to become an archmage, so she took the direct approach of economic discussions with dwarves and powerlifting stone wheels, and she's on her way. It's exciting. All proceeds to the channel go to Black Lives Matter and Trans Legal Defense Funds. So send us money, and then we'll send it to them, or just send it to them directly, whichever, whatever's good for you.
And I used my Amazon Prime subscription to subscribe to the station today. Actually,
nice.
I had been off of Prime for a while, but I got back, and yeah, you can do that. You get like a free prescription. Woo! You get a free subscription to one channel every month through your Prime membership if you do that. And yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool way to do it. Mm-hmm. If you don't mind, some evil capitalism mixed into your gaming.
I mean, if you're already paying evil capitalists, you might as well have them give some money to Twitch streamers you like, right?
No doubt.
Like you've paid for the Prime account. Of note, Prime accounts expire every month. So if you want to keep, it's kind of nice because it allows you to try out a channel for a little while. But if you want to keep supporting the channel, then every time you're a subscription, you don't pay anything. It's just you have to renew it. So it's a interesting feature.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am going to close that window because I don't need it, because I can see chat in StreamYard. This is actually really slick, I have to say.
Oh, we can see chat in StreamYard?
Do you look over in your right-hand corner? Do you see comments?
Oh, snap. Look at that.
Yeah, right.
How do I do? Oh, I guess I would have to be logged in. Okay. I see.
Oh, yeah. You have to be logged into.
Okay, so I'll do the chat the normal way. Got it. I love so during the 30-second countdown, it plays this music as if we were in a high stakes drama about game streaming, and the show is about to start. That's what the countdown music sounds like. It's just something really dramatic is about to happen, and then it's just Burning Wheel. What the F?
I mean,
it's
really funny. More dramatic than Burning Wheel, man. It's
oh no, I know, but I feel like it should have been it felt like that, Eminem about to rap in front of the crowd for the first time, type of drama. Instead, it's just let's talk about Artha. It wasn't. Yeah, it was. I love Burning Wheel, and I love our game, but it felt like, high, the high stakes part was intense. So anyway, it's a thing.
It was cool. I for the fact that it was there, and literally all I did was click a button for it to go. I mean, I would have been very happy if I could have made it a 5-minute timer instead of a 30-second one, but that's what we got. So yeah, let's play some Burning Wheel. I have to say, the other nice thing about not remoting into my work computer is that I don't have to have as many windows open, so I can just look instead of 3. It's kind of exciting.
Okay.
So yeah, let's look at this character of mine.
Yeah. And just rewinding a second as I choke on water, the last game, I feel like you also met a couple of people who might end up being kind of important. You met your reading tutor,
Sister L.
Sister L, and you met Natana,
Mm-hmm.
who is kind of this elderly hedge wizard, um, who's like shriveled and kind of covered in you know cool headdresses and big poofy clothes, colorful clothes, and yeah, as a little bit kind of old black lady Yoda kind of vibe,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I thought those conversations were kind of cool that you had with those folks. I thought that was kind of neat.
I did too. I really enjoyed. It was funny because like I don't know that you particularly um, role played her that differently than a lot of other characters. But Sister L, I just sort of immediately got the vibe of she's like, "Hey, you want to try something fun? Let's go see if you
Right.
can lift this wheel."
Yeah.
And then it was really fun to have a character that Nara could go like play with and like
Yeah.
and that was neat. And I remember you asking me like, "Do you think there's something like romantic happening?" And I'm like, I don't know. I think it's just fun to have a friend,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
to not
Yeah.
feel like everything you're doing. Like I think in Nara's perspective, if she had dropped the wheel, so long as like it didn't break or cause like damage that got them both in trouble, it would have been a funny, silly thing. Well, as they're both like heaving and lifting to try and get it back on the wall,
Right.
rather than a like, well, this shows you're not ready kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I liked that we got to see that side of Nara where we saw someone who didn't have really anything at stake about her archmagery or wizardry, and also, yeah, was of an age with her.
yeah.
Was also kind of in her 20s and not yet where she wanted to be. I think you're in similar places in your lives.
And I want to say we haven't really established this, but if we look at the trend of Nara's an only child.
Right,
Um, Nara was always hanging around her family's house rather than like necessarily being with the neighbors. Nara traveled with Eogdolin, who had no children. Nara then traveled with a knight who had no children. Nara
right,
then traveled with a hedge wizard. I think she's not used to being around people her age. I mean, it's happened. It's not like she's never seen them, but I don't
right.
think Nara has always been around adults all her life. And so I'm sure this isn't the first time she's ever had fun with someone her age, but it's certainly kind of a rarity for her, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
I dig that.
so yeah, I hadn't really thought about that before, but I'm like, I think all of the history we've established so far backs that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Very cool. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I'm yeah, I just love I love the, the 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 characters that you're bringing into the story and the
Cool.
relationships.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm glad that's going well. It's nice to, I don't know, learn about Nara is neat. Um, it's something that someone who's been playing in another game of mine that I've been GMing said, it's cool to learn these new things about your characters as you go. And I was like, oh yeah, it is. That's
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah. So I think if we want to jump into it, well, we should read our new beliefs.
Yep.
Uh,
We got a couple new
hold
ones.
on. Hold on. So, for those who are watching at home, Burning Wheel is a big old white dwarf, dense, complicated game. And if you were going to get rid of everything and just keep three things, you would keep the three beliefs. And that's kind of what I use as a signpost. It's the main thing I use as a signpost for what is going to happen next. There definitely is a part of it that is the verisimilitude of the world. There's part of it that is the consequences of what Sean has Nara do. But my main guiding pole star is these three beliefs, and so that's why before each game we read them out, and that way we kind of just you know uh, reconnect to them, and very often uh, beliefs change over the course of the game, and so it's my job to look at them and challenge them, and it is Sean's job to play into them or against them or whatever, however he feels Nara is going. and that's where we're at. So that's why we read them before every game, in case you were wondering.
Judd, I have to say, when you very first started that description, and first, it's a very apt description of the game. I agree with you wholeheartedly. When you very first started describing that, and you're talking about Burning Wheel, and you said there's only 3 things you're going to keep, and I thought you were going to say it would be Johnny, Pupper Cat, and a copy of Burning Wheel Gold. Like,
oh my god! Whoa! I love Burning Wheel Gold. I don't know if I would put them in a boat with Pupper Cat and Johnny. Like that's intense, man. Holy cow! Yeah, I don't know if there's a third thing with those 3 things. Like maybe my mom. Like that's intense.
Probably. But just that's just I just misread. But yeah. Let's hope there's never a boat with only 3 things.
Yeah. I yes. I have an off-color joke that I'll tell about Burning Wheel later. That's just not right for now. Cool. No. Let's do beliefs.
Let's do beliefs. All right. You want to? I'll start. I'll read the first one. Last time the fell nightingale tried to teach me an elven song, it ended in disaster. This is why Nara is named Nara Songender, by the way. It ended in disaster because I did not understand how to use my gift. I'm ready now, and I'll learn from her the reclamation of the ages. That's a big whopping belief. It's like, I'm ready, and I'm just going to go ask her to teach. Like, I'm sure she's just super ready to teach me that. No problem. I'm just ready for it.
What is that song? What is the recitation of the ages?
It is so cool. So first off, I looked up. I did my research on this. I looked up the Ranger Elven Life Path, which I know she's in, which is in the Protector setting. And then I looked at what, and I also remember her talking about being a herald of the for the Ethark. And so I looked at the herald and the Ranger songs that they have, and this was in there. Let me pull it up. I'm finding it in just a second. It's the coolest song ever because it's history. Recitation of the Ages. This spell song is both a history lesson and a wondrous show of lights and images. As the ages are recited, the elf intermingles phrases in memory of the power, and scenes of eons past float before the listeners. It creates a visual retelling of the past. And there is a particular moment of the past that Nara wants someone to relive, and she is hoping that she can do it with this song. It's one thing to tell somebody about Antara taking hold of the wheel and catching a fire. It's another thing to show them all together.
Nice.
So that is, and it's also because it's a spell song, it takes 100 actions times the obstacle. So it's a log. I mean, almost all the spell songs, except for the ones that are about fighting, are like this, but they involve, like, an action I think is like 3 seconds. So that's 300 seconds. So it's 5 minutes. So it's a song, like, I guess it's not that long. Oh, it's 5 minutes times the ob. So an ob 1 song would be.
Yeah, it's like a doom metal song, you know. It's orchestral.
Cool. Exactly. So I'm excited about that. I mean, she might not know it. It's within her life path, but you know, don't necessarily pick up every skill in her life path. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun. So
that's awesome. Love it.
All right, you want to read the second one?
Yes, I do. You've got to bury your own heads. I'd better get to know some of the other apprentices, and that starts with the one I already do. I'll make amends with Yisa, even if it means swallowing a stone. Oof. And you've got to bury your own heads has become the kind of winter is coming of this game. It's you've got to deal with the consequences of your own actions, and you've got to own them.
Yeah.
And I like how Sean is keeping it and altering it for different things that Nara feels she has to do. That's really cool.
Yeah. This This is one of those things where Nara. It's another case where Nara feels like she made a mistake, or maybe didn't make a mistake, but took an action that had consequences, and she has to deal with the consequences of that action. And
Yeah.
I just decided that swallowing a stone was just a euphemism for swallowing your own words. But
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
it's also, maybe that's like a thing you do. I don't know. So I just thought it sounded cool.
No,
So,
no, no. I get it. I mean, I think I get it. You've got to. I think that makes sense. That makes sense.
so
Cool.
my last one is Kaji and his retinue are a pack of smug jackals. Note that Yizu is one of his retinue, but
Yeah.
but doesn't deserve Antare's fate. I'll convince him to wait until he's prepared. And notably, I took off the belief about summoning Igna,
Okay.
not because I completed it, but because I felt like it's not what's driving Nara right now. So I put it
Awesome.
back in like bio and info tab where I keep all my old beliefs. As like, remember this one,
Yeah.
maybe session. And also I had a belief that I completed last time about setting up Bolnar to be prosperous. But that was also like I completed that part of the belief. I think there's going to be more where I feel like Nara is going to care about Bolnar, and I think Bolnar will return to her beliefs in the future as well. But
Yeah.
And
I think that's another cool thing about beliefs is that like because you gave it a shot and like did a prep spell to start to summon Igna with Bazor, the wizard who's teaching you, and you failed, and then you kind of you got backed out, and you could have run back to it and tried to do it on the sly, and you decided it wasn't worth it. And that's how that goes sometimes. That's awesome. And then we got our instincts. When entering a room, always look for a way out, which was brought up in last game when she talked to Natana, the older hedge wizard, and she kind of said, you're always, she saw that in her right away, through kind of reading her aura, and said, she kind of Yoda'd her and said, you're always looking for the exit. Why is that? And I really liked your answer, Sean, because it also dug into a little bit of Nara's past. I feel like we just haven't touched on, which is when she was, learning from a knight and had like a run-in with a demon. And yeah, it's kind of like this weird, intense thing that happened that is kind of in her past, and we haven't really effed with too much.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those like sort of tasty like little buds that like can float around, like a little ember that can float around until we decide to stoke it and
totally
ignite it. But I didn't. It's funny because until you asked that question, I didn't know where that instinct came from, and I was like, I know that she's cagey, but why is she cagey? And I kind of looked at my notes and I was like, oh, I know why she's cagey. This is specifically why she's untrusting and is always kind of, Bina is a very like open. Bina was and is this like very open person who's just like, I'm going to tell you what's going on in my mind, and I'm going to hope that like what I want is a reasonable thing, and that it will come to some sort of agreement. And Nara's like, I don't trust you. I think you're going to try and hurt me. I think you're going to, screw me over. Like, I'm going to come hard at you, even if I don't need to. Like, Nara intimidates people a lot. She's just yeah.
But she grew up in a much more loving, supportive environment,
Yeah.
I think Bina's, it's cool. It's cool to see how they're very, very different. Yep. Love it. Cool. I think, and then,
next one is when traveling, always practice singing. That was one of those beliefs that is sort of a Bina belief as well, but it's also came up. Judd was like, "Yeah, if you want to be practicing on your singing, just throw that in instinct." I was like, "Yeah, good idea." Yeah. So,
and what I have found in playing Burning Wheel a bunch is that instincts are kind of the hardest things to write. And so one thing I've often done is left them blank. And then when you notice the character doing something or reacting to something, you can say, hey, do you always react that way to bullies? And say, when I see a bully, always, slap them, or, whatever it is. And so, when Sean mentioned, when I'm traveling, so that's cool. Let's put that in there so that you get the practice time in, because it's also kind of instincts are kind of a cool way to break the rules. they're kind of the flashback mechanic, if hearkening to Blaze in the Dark. When preparing for an argument, always cast smoke and shadows of the starless nights to bolster my presence. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Awesome. And you are going to go talk to your elf mentor.
Yeah. Last time, I don't think it was last.
Doolin.
I think it was Egdulin, the Fell Nightingale. I think it was a session before last. I received a letter from her and I read it and I realized that she was come by, and I used astrology. So excited to actually make an astrology roll for astrology purposes, like not to aid anything else. So I used astrology to figure out where she would arrive under the stars. And what I figured out was that there was some sort of stronghold outside of or not stronghold, but some sort of camp outside of Shadowhold. It seemed like that was where she would be. So
cool.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna head over there. I think it's nighttime, because tell me if it was wrong, but I think this is picking up right after last session where Natana had sort of asked me to walk home.
Yep.
And no, I guess they were there in the morning. Never mind. They were there in the morning.
It's daytime.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it's daytime.
So yeah, I think Nara will go get her cloak and her belongings and her big her big leather satchel and filled with various accoutrements and head outside of the camp. Does she have I can't remember if her getting in and out of the gate if it requires any kind of like paperwork. I remember in the past.
No, I think they know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remember last time that was actually how I met up with my dwarven counterpart. Was through somebody in the gate.
Yep.
Who was that? Ambrose? No.
Sitarbi?
Oh yeah, Sitarbi. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. So I'm gonna head out. Well, packed up and
cool. Yeah, I mean, I think they let you on out, and you remember that kind of around on the southern end of Shadowhold is a little glade, and it's a little pretty forest, and I think there's even a waterfall against the side of the city walls, and yeah, I don't think you have to walk very far to find Egdulin. She is an ageless elf, so she probably looks fairly young until you look kind of at her eyes carefully, and then you note the hard-earned wisdom there. Her name means the Fell Nightingale, so she's known for being able to sing, and she's known for having a little bit of a temper, and sometimes going against the elven court when necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think she is kneeling. She is like sitting, crisscross applesauce on the ground, and sipping some tea and watching the waterfall. And when you kind of walk into that area, she smiles and does that thing that elves do. Elves and gymnasts and ballerinas, where they get up without using their hands, right? She just kind of gets up because elf knees are perfect. Elf knees and hips are absolutely perfect, and so she just gets up like there's a string pulling her spine straight up into the air, and I think puts her cup of tea down on a stone as if it was a shelf made for it, and walks over to you and calls you by your elf nickname, which is Vindelimet, which means song ender.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Nara smiles. I think that name is kind of a right name for her because she knows that it comes from a place of love, but it's also it's a reminder of a mistake, and
Yeah,
so she smiles and says, "Egdalin, I received your message," and I think she. I don't know if elves have feelings of physical affection, but
yeah,
I think she feels comfortable, giving her,
a hug. Yeah,
hug.
yeah. I think they're huggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So,
Um,
and I think Nara has grown probably, you know, she, Egdalin was her first mentor when she was, 10 or 9 or 10. So, Nara's grown quite a bit since she's seen her last time.
right.
And she was, you know, I think she's probably almost as tall now. And yeah, so I think there's a little bit of like, oh, this is different. I used to grab you around the waist, right?
Right, right, right.
When I would give you a
Yeah,
hug.
and I think she says that. She says, "You're getting so big. You'll be tall like your father."
Uh, and she looks at Glenn. She says, and I, if it's been a day, it's been a decade. You haven't changed at all.
And I think she nods and like quickly changes it, like quickly moves on because like she doesn't want to think too much that she's going to watch you die someday. Like that's where
Yeah.
this topic goes. Like if we continue talking about this, eventually we'll get to the fact that I'm going to watch you perish,
Yep.
and I don't really want to talk about that. So she
Yeah.
says, "There's a new nickname that the spirits are whispering about you."
Oh, what's that? And I think I go. You said she was like watching the waterfall, and
Yeah,
then drinking her tea. Is it like a teapot that she was?
yeah. I think yeah, she's got a little fire set up, or like
Yeah.
not even a fire. It's like she had a fire and now it's just kind of like hot stones. And
Nice.
yeah, there's a little teapot on it, and she goes into her pack and brings you a cup so you can serve yourself.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I think I mean, one of the skills that I learned with her was fire building, um,
Nice.
and it's still why I sometimes go call myself the fire tender. So I sort
Yeah.
of like lean down and I blow on the embers that are still under the stones, and kind of ignite, like get them going up against reheat the water a little, and then pour myself some. Um, and I sit down and I say, "Oh, they're talking about me." Um,
They do. They asked me where my former apprentice was, and I didn't know why they wanted to call you Eye Goravene.
can you tell me what that means?
Yeah, so I think I don't know how much Elvish she knows, but you might be able to like figure it out. It
Uh,
means the fell lioness.
um,
Yeah,
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 she sort of blows into her tea. Like
yeah.
that's definitely why she was doing a long exhale, was to cool the tea.
Right,
Uh,
right.
and she looks at the she looks at the waterfall and she says, "Yes, that that makes sense. Um, I had an encounter with a spirit on the on the jeweled road, and I met one, and that was the price I paid for wisdom."
Uh,
Um,
well, they don't call me the fell nightingale because of the good decisions I made. They call me that because of the mistakes I made. Sometimes your name is a reminder of what your worst can be.
it was a good. And she sort of like looks at her and then looks away. She's like, "I've made a lot of mistakes on this so far, and I'm sure I'll make a lot more, but this one was particularly impactful, and it really made me rethink some of the decisions I've made, and
Oh,
I regret that I was so I regret that I was so careless, but it's put me back in contact with my mother's family, and I've had an opportunity to do some good for them after I did a lot of bad to them, but um, I don't entirely regret it.
good.
Why are you here? Are you here to see the Archmage walk up the mountain and take that fiery torch off? Carry
Should
it
I?
down? I mean, the good thing is you're an elf, so you can wait for a really long time because I think it's going to be quite some time before it actually happens.
Hmm.
Everyone is expecting it to happen any minute, but the one
Ah.
wizard who thinks he's ready isn't. And this wizard knows she's not.
So you think it'll be some time, maybe 200 years? Hmm?
I don't think it'll be 200 years. It's once a human generation.
Ah,
Generation.
fair
But
enough.
sometime in the next 5, 10, maybe. That's my hope. I hope whoever does it waits long enough, waits till they're ready. There's
Hmm.
an idiot, there's a fool who thinks he's ready now, and I think he's going to hurt himself, if not others.
That's too bad.
But if you're not here to see the Archmage, what brought you to Shadowhole?
No, I had heard that they were gathering here again, and I wanted to see this place, inhabited, full of life. It's a strange city. It's transient.
I don't know cities really at all, but I can say that the temporary parts of it are the ones that feel most familiar to me. I really love seeing wagons full of food and lumber and other things coming in and out. That feels much more at home to me than ancient towers preserved by dwarves forever,
Hmm.
filled with replica wheels. They have copies of the wheel. I mean, just stone, but
Of course, Ostafa wanted people to be able to train.
it's heavy.
Ah, you've lifted it.
She like
Good.
she like smacks her glutes like after you. um,
That's good. It won't be a shock if you ever have to pick up the real thing.
I think the fire part will still be a shock. It's the fire part that it seems like a lot of people are just like willing to just skip over. I mean, a
Hmm.
heavy wheel is a significant thing, but a burning, never mind.
You're worried about your destiny?
I'm worried about anybody who would try and take that wheel from the mountain, myself or otherwise. I really thought I was ready, and then I found out there's all these chores and these tests and these things you're supposed to be prepared for, and I haven't done any of them. And then I found out even those aren't enough to prepare you. I'm worried that there won't be enough time for me to do it, but I'm also worried that I'm nowhere near ready. And at some point, those two pressures are going to come to a head, and I'm just going to have to decide to do it or not. But I'm not there yet. And I'm trying to prevent someone else from succumbing to the pressure of pride and
Hmm.
I'm sure his parents and all sorts of other people telling him he's going to be the next Archmage. I got your letter. Thank you.
Ah, you're welcome. I are you in Tovar here?
No, I split ways with Tovar. I parted ways with Tovar. She kept me for 3 years, and then found me another mentor. And now I train with Bezar. He's a rogue wizard who lives in a necropolis, but won't teach me to summon the dead. It's a long history, but he's taught me how to use my gift, and um, and I've learned. I'm an apprentice wizard under him. And I think actually I sort of described bringing all my stuff, and I forgot one of the things that she has now, but I definitely brought it because I wanted to show it to her, is my staff. And so I
nice.
I mean, it's not like I could have hidden it, but
right.
I think I like.
You're very close to being a journeyman then.
That's what they say.
Good for you. Did I do wrong by you by leaving you with Tovar? There is, and I think she like looks to the west with that like Legolas far off look, and she says, "There is something of a shadow that's fallen over the Iron Lands of late."
I think the only reason why this is even in Nara's head right now, it's even in her mind right now, is because she just had this conversation with Natana. I think if she had been asked on any other day, like, "Hey, how was it with Tovar?" she would have just like skipped over all the bad parts and like, "Oh, Tovar was great. I just needed a wizard to teach me." Like a knight can't teach how to cast spells, right? Just like a wizard can't teach you how to swing a sword. It's just, or how to soldier, right? But because it's on her mind, she says, I feel like I did Tovar an injustice, and I don't know really how to make it right.
An injustice. That's a strong phrase.
She sort of looks around and realizes that like we're about as alone as you could really be. Like she's now become accustomed to being in Shadowhold, and she's become accustomed to being in Shadowhold, where it's bustling all the time, and she realizes that there's some privacy here, and she says, "I accused her husband of being a demon."
Was he?
Yes.
Then
and I
why?
don't know that, and I couldn't. I just know it, but I don't really know how I know it.
You've always had a sight. Don't you trust it? Your eyes?
Usually when it tells me things like this person is going to be untrustworthy, or this person is passionate, or this is a strong place of magic. But how do you know something if you've never seen it before? How do you know something if you've never seen it since? How do I know that it wasn't just the shadows playing tricks on my eyes? How do I know he wasn't just in a horrible mood? How do I know what I saw was real? I've never seen a demon.
What made you think it was a demon then?
The way the light just fell into him, receded into him as though it was a starless night. The way his eyes, the way his smile never touched his eyes. The way his intent. People's auras are just a mess. They're impossible to. Hey, Roger. Yes. Talk to your players. That's the rule. She says his eyes were his aura there was a single aura. People have scattered, fuzzy, blurry auras that reflect all their different priorities and fears and passions. His was just a single presence of malevolence. And I think that's a demon, from what I've heard.
I would be prone to trust your instincts on such things. Wouldn't you?
Well, I don't know. I said it, and I accused him, and he made it clear I wasn't welcome there anymore, and so I left.
The truth can be hard. I'm sorry.
It's good. I because of leaving Tovar, I met Bezar, and he's been very good to me. He's been kinder to me than I thought wizards were.
Good.
So
I'm glad you found a kind teacher. It's a rare thing.
and it's clear that Nara is like trying to build up to asking her something, and she's sort of like waiting. And so if she like starts on with another question or comment, Nara will probably lose this opportunity. But if there's a moment, if there's like a few, beats of silence.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, totally. She just stops and like looks at the waterfall for a while and sips her tea. Like I think Aeg Doolin, and that like as much as you two have talked, she can go days without talking. Like she can just stop and look at a natural beauty or something, for a long time. So absolutely.
Yeah. So after, when there's this sort of pause, she takes another sip of tea and then says, my Linda lament, am I pronouncing that right, Judd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, however you say it is how you say it. Like I don't, none of us are Tolkien scholars. If no, I don't think anyone is like a scholar of old Kenya and is gonna start giving us shit about it. And if you are and we're saying it wrong, you can leave a comment, and that's great, and we'll do our best next time. But elves aren't real, bro. We're not worried about offending them.
Yep.
But thank you. We appreciate your expertise. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So she says, I earned my name because you tried to teach me a song once, and it didn't go so well. I wasn't able to hold on to the chords long enough, and they went out of control. But that was also before I knew how to use my gift, and I think I am ready to try again. And there's a song that I remember hearing of, and I don't know if I don't know if Egdolin ever sang the Recitation of Ages, or I don't know if there's if Nara knows this or not. So I think I'll just leave it open and say there's a there's a song that I remember hearing, and I wonder if you could teach it to me that brought the history of the ages alive. If you'd be willing to give it another shot, give it another try.
What song is that?
And she says it's one that makes history unveil itself in front of the viewer. I believe it was called the Recitation of the Ages.
Why that song? Of all the songs you could have chosen.
There is one. I find it increasingly important to know about the archmages that came before me, and I'm piecing together bits and pieces of them, and bits and pieces of their lives, and I think that song might teach me more about them. And two, I really want to show somebody that they're not ready. Right? That fool of a wizard. I really want to show him what happened the last time someone grabbed the wheel before they were ready. I wanted to see it with my eyes. I can't bring him to Antaire, who is convalescing in a tower a few days, days down the road. I don't think he'll come with me to see the man himself, but I think I can show him the history that he doesn't know.
You want to sing a song to save? You want to sing history to save someone's life?
I do.
That's a kind reason to learn that song. It's not what I expected. And I think she starts to teach it to you. How long is that going to take?
Well, it depends on how we want to do it. I could make a beginner's luck test right now, and she could sing with me to give me a helping die, and I could try it. Or we could go through instruction, which generally takes days.
Right.
But it's 10 days plus 10 days minus her will plus 10 days minus my will, I think.
Okay.
I think is the answer. I think either one of those would gain me either one of those would gain me a practice mark.
Cool. And yeah, she'll totally.
And I'd be happy to do both as well, right? Like I could try it now, and then we could start instruction to
yeah, she doesn't want you to try and fuck that one up.
Fair.
Yeah, she does not want that. She teaches you the beginning melody. And then she says, come back when the moon is full, which is in 8 days. And we will continue. Practice just what I've taught you. Just that part.
And we'll put it in here, recitation of the ages. I don't know what it's rooted in. Let me check.
Oh man, I just had it up.
Probably doesn't matter because it's the same. Oh, it doesn't say what it's rooted in. That's weird. Are spells all rooted in something?
They're probably all rooted in the same song.
Probably all rooted.
The root for Elven spell songs is will,
yeah.
Unless otherwise specified.
That makes sense. Well, okay.
I imagine there are some that are like rooted in grief or something, but
yeah, I think there are a couple that are rooted in grief. I specifically avoided any spells that interacted with grief, any songs that interacted with grief, because I was like, there's no, even though I have the trait that means I can sing like an elf, I don't have the greed trait, and that's just I don't want to try and.
Yeah.
Can you beginners like sorcerer's stuff like magic songs just have to be instructed? That's a great question, Dave.
I don't think so.
Yeah, normally you can beginner's luck any skill, but sorceress skills in particular, you can't beginner's luck until you've had training. So it's a weird sorcery particular thing. Once you've been trained, you can then start beginner's lucking it. But so I couldn't actually, and I think based on that, I could not have tried it and had her help me. I have to wait until I've gotten at least this test. So
yeah.
And then once you've been given a little bit of instruction, you can blow up the house.
Yeah.
Luckily, this song the ob is based on the ages, and so if you want to tell something that happened of this age, it's only ob 1, which is great because Antaire was this age as far as I know. He's his last age, so I'm not looking, but it's based on the ages, which is great because I think we've set those by the archmages. So we kind of know like each archmage is up the
that's awesome. I like that.
It's pretty cool. If I want to know about Enoch, it's going to be ob 4 or 5.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, she says come back when the moon is full, and then I think she like takes her tea off the stone, like looks at you like grasps your shoulder like it was really great to see you, and it's very warm. And then she turns away from you and looks at the waterfall and sits without, using her hands, just like descends. And you're just like, she's just not looking at you anymore. Like it's just, I mean, like you can understand how someone can like fall in love with an elf and be like, oh my God, they're so cruel. Because it's like one moment, it's like you're in the beam of this immortal attention. And the next, it's like, and you no longer exist. I'll see you in 8 days. Like it's just, you're gone.
Oh,
You're not a person anymore.
I think Nara like I think Nara A becomes is suddenly cold and sweating.
Right.
Singing is like it's a very physical activity,
Yeah.
and she's been like doing all this like diaphragm work and hasn't really thought about it. And then suddenly it's just like she just feels like damp sweat on the side of her head, and like the chill of like cold sweat running down her back. And even though she's in this super warm, I think she picks up her cloak that I'm sure she's set down by now,
Yeah.
and and it's like, oh, and goes back to the awkward Nara that we've seen several times before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I guess maybe this is why Nara is awkward. Maybe this is part of it, because she's like, I guess I'll see you next full moon then. And
It's just like,
yeah, right.
over her shoulder and not looking at you, watching the water come down the waterfall. Yeah.
I dig it. Yeah. So, as her instinct says, while she's walking back, she's kind of humming the tune to herself.
Love it. Cool.
So, yeah, very very much dig this. So I added that under my my practicing. I also added something. I hope it's okay with you. I was looking at all the spells, and Nara has been sung the spell of being an elf friend,
Right.
when she was a child,
Right.
and that gives you a 1d reputation with the elves, or
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
reputation of elf friend rather.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I added that to my
Yep. I actually had thought of that, and I'm glad you included it. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was like a part of Nara. That was a keep, maybe the first part of Nara that was ever really.
Yeah, that we really.
Yeah. Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I think like by the time the singing lesson is done, it's like the sun is setting, and you realize you haven't eaten all day.
Right. Another typical Nara thing.
Right.
To realize that, yeah.
Yeah, she's very much like a college sophomore. Yeah, in a lot of ways. And yeah, I mean, I think you're probably pretty hungry, and you've been, out of pocket all day, and I don't know, what do you want to do?
How far is Bolnar from Shadowhold?
I would say it's probably like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not just a hop and skip and a jump.
It's not no.
Cool. Yeah. Then I think she's going to come back in. I imagine a couple scenes. Like Nara looking over her shoulder at the grove, kind of shuddering, and then using her staff like a walking stick for maybe kind of the first time. Not that she super needs it, but just like, hey, she's got a walking stick now. And then like her at a street vendor, getting something hot that's being cooked on the side of the road for pilgrims and passerbys. Maybe making it back to the tower, kind of late, by the time she's back in Shadowhold. And
Cool. Yeah, I think you get in, and I think you and Bazor, and it's one of those deals where you and Bazor and Rasmus all get to the tower at the same time, and Bazor has his own tower, but like you haven't fully moved out yet.
Right.
And Rasmus says, "Would you mind sharing a meal with me one last time before you move into your own tower?" And Bezor like kind of sighs in relief and says, "I have not hired a cook or anything like that yet, so yes, that would be wonderful." And 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 Rasmus kind of, you see Rasmus kind of talk to his servant Matthias and make sure that there's enough, and there is. And you get you all sit down in the great hall, and he serves like a first course of some stew, and Bezor, and it's being served to you all, and Bezor looks across the table at you and says, "What did you get up to today, apprentice?"
She says, well, this morning, I presented a masterful reading from the Archmage Igna's tome, just in case you've forgotten. It's like this dad joke kind of thing that she's making with him, and she says, and then I had a lovely conversation with Natana on the way back, and I sort of look like, is it cool to say this in front of Rasmus? And I'm not 100% sure, so she just says she told me of your discussion with her, and I'm not ready to take her up on the offer, but I appreciate you being open-minded.
Yeah, and I think he nods at the awkwardness of all that and says, "It's something to think about. She's an exceptional teacher and an interesting wizard.
Seems like she has a lot of stories." And then
she has a lot of wisdom, is what she has.
And then I went out to the woods, and I met up with an old friend. My first teacher, and I think he knows who that is, but I don't think Rasmus necessarily does. So
Rasmus says, "That's right, you're an elf friend, aren't you?"
Linda Lamette, my elf name.
Ah, how interesting. May I ask what it means? Is that rude?
No, it's fine. It means song ender.
And I've read that your names can change over time based on your deeds.
Yes, there's apparently some spirits that have another name for me in Elvish, and I just sort of look at Bezor like knowingly, like, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna dig all this up in front of Rasmus, but it's almost like, who have you been talking to, Bezor? Like, who?
Right. Yeah. I think Bezor just kind of like garumps, like, huh?
Yeah.
And and also kind of like, I haven't said anything, that kind of deal.
I mean, yeah. So I think it's funny because it's just hitting me now that one of Nara's schools is magic. It's not magic, is illusion. Which could actually play into this really well. Could be neat. I don't think I've cast an illusion,
right?
But I think I'm going to try and recreate the waterfall and the grove for them. Let's see how hard that is. See if that's a ridiculous. This is not something an apprentice wizard should just try in front of two.
Oh no! You're right.
Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, everybody on stream, for the loud clunk. There goes my bookshelf again. Yep, everything's fine. Thanks for checking. Everything's good. This bookshelf. Okay. What we're doing? We're looking in the codex because this is what we do in this game.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So let's call it. I see a lot of folks in their discourse online talking about gaming where they're like, if you have to look up a rule, it's going to kill the whole vibe of the game, and the pacing will be wrong, and then
Yep.
and it's, you know what, poppycock to all that. It's okay to stop and look up a rule, and it's okay. Your friends, you're playing with your friends, and they'll forgive you and they'll still love you because you're you, and they're psyched to be gaming with you. And everybody take a deep breath. It's all right. It's just all right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's op one. I mean, I don't think you're trying to like accomplish anything other. Well, it depends what you're trying to accomplish, right? I feel like that's what we have to really find with that illusion. If you're just trying to make something pretty, I mean, I think it's just going to be op one.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. If I wanted to deceive them, it would be a sorcery. It's treated as a versus test. But yeah, in
Right.
this case, um, illusion is deceive. Yeah, and in this case, and that makes total sense. That makes total sense if I was trying to trick them into to believing it. But I think in this case, Nara doesn't want to create an illusion that looks real. She wants to create an illusion that looks ethereal, like it's semi-transcendent, right? It's
Right.
not. It's just like to show the beauty of the waterfall and
Right.
like hear the sounds of the tinkling water. So. Yeah, so she sort of like looks, she like holds her staff and says I'll show you. And I almost imagine that in this great hall, there's probably like a designated you cast spells here place in this wizard tower, right? Like in this big
Cool.
hall, probably some sort of like stage or just sort of open area. It's like if you're gonna catch something on fire, do it here.
Right.
That's the gist I get, so the whole place doesn't burn down.
There you go.
Yeah, cool. Let's do that. Let's go over to the magic tab. And let's name it because we always name our spells. This is I probably will never cast the spells again, but I still like naming it something specific. So I'm going to call this Memory of
I've got the name of the waterfall if you want it.
That's what I want. Yes. What's the name of the waterfall?
It is called Curuvarnen.
Oh my goodness, spell that for me.
Curuvarnen, which basically means wizard water. I think some people probably call it Curuvarnen Falls, which is just like wizard water. You know what I mean? It is probably not correct, but yeah.
Yes. So I'm casting Memory of Kuvarnen at dusk. It's a very specific spell. Probably will never cast it again, but yeah, I'm gonna show them, the waterfall in the area that we're having, and I think maybe like the pot of tea and the stones is the thing that's closest to them. So it's almost like if this was green screen CGI, it's like almost like, is that pot of tea the real prop or is that part of the illusion as well? Because every fast it is.
Love it.
Yeah. Let's see how that works. I need to get myself a challenging sorceries test at some point. This is not it. That's okay, and I don't want this to be it. But... Oh, where are you?
Oh, nice. I've got a nice picture of a waterfall that I'll post it on my Twitter if anyone wants to see it. But it's a waterfall near where I live. Because I live in Ithaca, New York, my wife and I are terrible waterfall snobs. Like, we are bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's bad. This is a funny story. For my 40th birthday, I wanted to go whitewater rafting in April, which is very, very cold and a terrible idea, and you shouldn't do it. But whitewater rafting is fun. You should totally do that, but you probably shouldn't do it in April. And anyway, we did it, and we were rounding this corner, and the guide is like, and when we turn this corner, you should look to your left. There's this really beautiful waterfall, and it's really amazing. And we turned the corner, and everybody else is oohing and eyeing, and I kind of like looked across the raft, like to make eye contact with Janaki, and I was like, like I just kind of like just like a little private, like, this is, I don't know, I've seen better on my commute to work in Ithaca, like I don't know, whatever. And
oh, waterfall snob. So what does
yeah,
so this is important burning wheel content. What makes a really good, in your mind, Judd, what makes a really good waterfall? Is it like the awe of it huge, or is it
no, it totally doesn't have to be huge. It just has to. It's all about the setting, right? Like, I mean, I think some water's got to be coming out of it. So if you come at the wrong time and it's just like a trickle, it's depressing. It's like you're watching, you're watching an elemental P or something. It's just not fun. But so I think like some water's got to be coming down, and then I don't know. It's about the stone and it's just about the setting of it all. It's about the pool it falls into. I mean, it's a whole deal.
Yeah, because I haven't seen big waterfalls. Like I've never been to Niagara or anything like that. But I grew up in Mendocino Coast, and there's an area called Russian Gulch, and there's in my opinion, these beautiful waterfalls. The rocks are all like moss covered because it's not tons of water coming all the time. So when it does, there's beautiful pools. It's a wooden glade. Like this is I don't know, very picturesque in my mind. So yeah. I got four successes on this. So yeah,
love it.
I think I make a pretty nice simulacrum of this waterfall, and so I sort of leave that going as we sort of display that.
Cool.
It's like what did you do today, apprentice? And that's kind of the answer. And so yeah, I sang with the elves.
Nice. Love it. And I think they just kind of like, I don't think it's necessarily a thing that people stop to look at, right? I think wizards are very driven and very single-minded, and so they very often don't pay attention.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's a nice thing that you kind of force them to stop and notice something beautiful around them. It's nice.
Yeah. And I kind of, for me, I think Nara's very pleased when she sees that it has like a visceral reaction, that they have like a visceral reaction, like that it lights up the room a little bit, that they kind of, it means more to them than just her telling the story of it. And this is, she's still thinking like, if I remember the recitation of the ages, which were very different. They weren't these illusions that she made out of light. It was, it was literally like things sort of dancing out of, things sort of coming alive, and shadow and starlight forming into shapes but it's encouraging for her to see people be moved by this. So
nice.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, I think she's maybe into her second course or something like that, and then asks, so do apprentices ever get to know each other? I mean, I imagine most of the time they're pretty isolated. They're with their wizards, but now that they're all in one place, I mean, the wizards have a moot. Do apprentices have a moot? Is there an apprentice mini moot?
Huh.
Is this something I should just know about, being an apprentice, but I'm clueless about because I don't talk to anybody who isn't twice my age?
And I think like Bezor looks at Rasmus and says, "You should answer this. I had my own concerns when I was an apprentice." And I think Rasmus kind of like uncomfortably like clears his throat and says, "Well, it's not, there's not many things that bring us all together. So, for example, if someone is a court sorcerer, their apprentice might know another court sorcerer who is at a nearby duchy. And so maybe if the families are married, those apprentices might train together or know each other very well. Um, Sometimes an apprentice exhibits skills or shows a need so that they are apprenticed to a wizard who already has an apprentice. Sometimes that goes well. Sometimes that goes very poorly. I think what I'm finding upon seeing us all gather in Shadowholt for the Archmagery is that we don't have as many traditions as maybe as I would like.
Hmm.
He does. Bezor says, that said, there is one of the traditions that does bring people together. And Rasmus says, "Oh yes, well of course. There's a of course, there is. I mean, people teach. Where you saw the moot, sometimes there are wizards who will show a spell or show a technique, uh, show a summoning, and use that as an opportunity to teach apprentices in a group.
Hmm.
In the coming days, we're going to set up kind of a weekly lesson.
Do you think the wizard Kaji would bring his apprentice there?
He probably would, or send her. And she says, and I think Bezor kind of snorts a little bit at that, and he says, "Are you looking to end that uh, conflict, or are you looking to smack her head all the rest of the way off of her shoulders?"
Natana had a lot of advice for me on the walk, but one of the things she said was that invariably it's that that apprentice you make enemies with when you're young and think nothing of, that is the wizard who has the reagent or the forgotten bit of knowledge or the ancient tome or the summoning circle or the magic ring or the or the or the uh, the shining sword that you absolutely need and must have, and it's better to squash these things, squash these rivalries when you're young before they turn into um, before they calcify and become impossible to address later on. I shouldn't have. She sort of like catches it. She's sort of having a hard time saying. She's like, in general, you shouldn't hit people just because they say things that you don't want to hear, or just because they say things that are offensive and stupid. And I probably embarrassed her in front of other people, and I'm sure her pride stung more than her face. Although I did slap her really hard, so maybe her face stung pretty badly too. And I should see if I can make amends with her.
Well, maybe you should call upon her in her tower and apologize.
That seems really formal.
Yes.
And that's also going to be in front of all of her, in front of her wizard and everyone else.
It will be very uncomfortable for you, like a slap to the face, one might say.
And also, it's on their turf, and where they can make all sorts of demands.
Yes. You're making this sound better and better to me.
I thought
maybe you should take a walk after dinner.
Okay. Yeah, Nara was just like, oh, maybe we'll have, that thing where you like want to talk to somebody, but you don't want to say, hey, can we talk? Because you don't want them to be like on the defensive. You don't want you need to talk to somebody about something serious, but you don't want to just call them up and drop it on them. So you're like, you say like, do you have time to talk? And then they inevitably want to know what you want to talk about. And what you're really hoping for is you just have that moment where you catch that person alone and you have an opportunity to say like, hey, can I talk to you for a second?
Right. Oh, totally. No, I get it.
Out, right? And this is absolutely Nara's trying to figure out a way to just be next to her and is being called out by her wizards. She's like, all right. Does Kaji have a tower? I didn't think he was. I thought towers were only for council wizards.
The outer towers along the walls are for council wizards. However, there are towers within the city itself.
Sure, the Dwarves have a field day when they realize how many towers they got to build when constructing this city.
Indeed, they did.
Someone is still paying. Someone's still paying a debt to the guilders for the city. I'm sure. We're gonna find it in someone's will, long buried. Okay. Maybe I could bring a gift. And I'm sorry I smacked you in the face. Peace offering.
Gifts are always good. What are you thinking?
She's young, younger than I am. I can't give her something like a staff. That's not my place to do.
It is not.
Trying to think of the things that Nara really cared about when she was younger, and you don't have a lot of personal effects when you're
right.
I think you have primarily you kind of are just carrying whoever you're apprenticed to stuff, and you have sort of bare minimum. So I think she says, well, she probably knows how to read, right? Because she's a court. And I don't think Nara has any sense of like the value of books, like whether they're super valuable or not valuable at all.
Right.
But she says, maybe I could. I'm sure there's lots of stories about Shadowholt and the Archmages, and I bet pilgrims have brought some of those in, or maybe they're merchants here. Maybe I could find her a book of fun stories rather than just of incantations to practice.
I had no idea that you had so much money.
Well, I don't entirely, but I did work with a guilder to set up a fund.
Oh.
It's not for me. It's for the people of Bolnar, but I've got a I know a few people I could talk to, and Nara's like realizing like she has a 1D resources taxed down to 0. and
Yeah.
a 2D fund that I don't want to touch because it's not my fund. It's not, it's meant for resources tests to bolster Bolnar, not to
Yep. Yep.
buy things. Um, so yeah, I think she. My guess is I have no idea what the resources test is, but it's probably not insignificant to find something that's nice and bound. So
Yeah, it's ob 3.
it's up three. Yeah, that
For
makes
like a
sense.
popular book, which sounds like what you're looking for, right?
It's what I'm looking for. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
All right. So she sort of scratches her head, like, okay, never mind. That's you know, I'm not gonna blow the whole Bulnar estate on buying a book for somebody I don't even know.
right, right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think she sort of looks around. Let me look at her possessions. I don't think she has. I mean, she has some very valuable possessions, but I don't think they're things she would part with. They're too
Right.
sentimental or too personal. Or
Yeah.
let's pull these up. Boop. Yeah, we look at her. What is it? Gear. Clothing, shoes, travel hose, personal hose, elven cloak, dwarven boots. Okay.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking it might be weird. Might not be the kind of thing that she'd like, but I'm thinking of making a beginner's luck foraging test to see if I can go like outside the holt into the maybe into the glade or something like that. Maybe I saw some really, I don't know if there was any pretty flowers that bloom around here. So this is, bringing flowers to somebody is a bit of a maybe strange gesture, but I don't think Nara, like, she knows that that's a thing that people do sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thinking about trying to find her some nice flowers that pretty poppies or something colorful.
Cool.
Something you could keep in a vase or put in your hair. Yeah. Yeah, I think that sounds good. She's like, well, I will go pick some flowers then. And just sort of like doesn't want to hear from wizards anymore about their
Yeah,
reason.
yeah, yeah. Well, they're not they're definitely like not telling you what to bring. Like they're not telling you how to make a an apology, like
Yeah,
without a doubt.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so basically before either they or she can come to the conclusion that it's a bad idea, she's like, she kind of like wipes her face with her napkin, thanks Rasmus for this, and Matthias for the meal, and yes, gonna go head out and try and forage up some foraging. Using foraging, a character can gather enough roots, fruit, and greens from land to feed himself in times of austerity. Maybe that's not right skill. What do you think? What do you think, Judd?
Yeah, man, I think that's interesting. Yeah.
Okay. The other skill that's related is there's nothing really in the obs that look like, finding flowers, but I also don't think that Luke probably rated a skill for finding flowers. So it's on page 273. You want to take a look and tell me what you think the ob would be to
Foraging. I mean, I can't think of like what a failure would look like. Like
Yeah.
that's my problem is I don't see an interesting failure other than, oh, I couldn't find anything. You know what I mean? Which isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So I can't.
I mean, she could, if we, I'm not necessarily trying to treat this like a link test, but I could see it being a link test in the case of like bringing flowers,
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, totally. Okay, then I would say it's ob one.
you know?
If we're looking at a link test, then I would say it's probably ob one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's give that a whirl. It's perception based. I'm gonna go out. I think I'm gonna be careful about this. I'm gonna go out and bring a torch and kind of go maybe climb up some of the rocks where I saw some things, some pretty things grow, and take my time to pick some nice flowers.
Cool.
Could mean I end up arriving kind of late if I fail this roll, but that's
Okay.
that's fine. I'm down with that. Foraging, perception based. Oh, nope. Got it. I just hit it though. So I got 3 successes. It's ob 1 doubled ob 2. I don't think that's enough to give me a bonus die. I think I would have 4 successes to you have to get 1 over, but
yeah.
But that's fine. Yeah, so I think I found something. At least it's a pretense. At least it's something other than just like showing up completely empty-handed.
Right.
Yeah, I tie them together with some twine, and I have this bouquet of colorful flowers, and I'm gonna go to the Wizard's Tower. It's after dinner. It's in the evening. I imagine there's wizards seem like the kind of people who don't go to bed early though. There's always some new spell to cast, or at least Nara isn't, especially not when she's young. So I don't think, I feel like, your parents might say, don't ever call somebody after 9 o'clock at night. That was my family rule. And I feel like, like Nara's maybe just at the edge of pushing that, just being like, all right, it's 8:50. I'm knocking on the door.
Awesome.
Do you want to take a break before we?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think I think we've been with that for an hour. And that'll give me time to kind of think about this coming thing. And yeah, I love it.
Excellent.
Let's do it.
Friends, so what's going to happen is I'm going to play a 30-second countdown, and then it's just going to come back to a blank screen, and Judd and I will be back in 5 or so. Sorry, I don't have like a nice 5-minute countdown, but this is what I got. So thank you all for hanging out with us, and we'll be back in 5.